All right, 8.3 was originally designed with two sections. We're just going to do both sections in one because, again, since we're putting everything together at the beginning of the week, there's no need to split it. We're going to take our efforts and combine them for our first look together, our first look at higher level operations. We've learned how to do distributive property. We've learned how to say that the outside number meets both inside numbers, that 5x meets 7x squared, and 5x meets 6x. That this ends up being 35x to the third because there's three x's, and this ends up being plus 30x squared. And so that was what we learned to do in our last section. But what happens when we see problems like this? Well, this is where some of you might have learned something called the FOIL method, but I don't teach the FOIL method because it really is not effective in all situations. So what is the best way to find success in this process here? First off, organize. Second off, practice. Third, practice more. I'll show you a method to get it done, but it's up to you again to practice the method enough to make it more efficient and more effective. Really, most of the stuff that a lot of the stuff that you're getting into as we keep moving forward is going to be based in the idea of you practicing the idea and making sure you get it down. So you are going to have to show anything that has 2 by 2. Actually, I think everything in here you have to show your steps. So z meets negative 8z. And then z also has to meet 7. And then negative 13 meets negative 8z. And then negative 13 meets 7. So what happens is remember, these two are friends, so to speak. That's why they're in parentheses. And these two are friends. That's why they're in parentheses. And so in order to introduce, this person meets everybody in the other parentheses. So z meets 8z, z meets 7. Then 13 meets everybody over there. So 13 meets 8z, 13 meets 7. Now you just simplify. So 8, that should be 8z, not 8x. Okay. So negative 8z squared, because there are two z's there, plus 7z. 13 times 8 would be 80, and 24, which is plus 104z. And then 13 times 7 is 70 plus 21, which is minus 91. Now, the thing you have to look out for is that there are like terms, z and 104. Z's actually can be put together, so it's negative 8z squared. That makes plus 111z minus 91 would be your final point. But all three of these boxes are necessary. You are going to have to show all these meetings. The reason I'm making you show those meetings is because the better you get at that, the fewer mistakes you're going to make. And that's really what it's about, is just making sure you get the process down. So I think there's 15 questions on your homework, and you have to do this step on all 15. It's just make sure you practice this meets that, and then this meets those two as well. Doesn't really matter about the numbers. All that happens is you just got to be careful about working them out. So 5v meets v, and 5v meets 5, and don't forget the negatives. Negative 11 meets v, and negative 11 meets 5. This becomes 5 with two v's, so 5v squared. That becomes 25 with a v. This becomes negative 11 with a v, and this becomes negative 55. From there, put your like terms together. That's plus 14v minus 55. And there you go. 3 steps. Show the meetings, expand the meetings, simplify. Again, show the meetings, expand the meetings, and then put like terms together and simplify. As long as you organize yourself on this stuff, you should be okay. Another one. It's just the same thing over and over. 5u meets negative 7u, and 5u meets 5, and negative 9 meets negative 7u, and negative 9 meets 5. Feel free to replay that if you need to actually watch what's going on after you write it, but that's pretty much it. 5u meets 7u, 5u meets 5, 9 meets 7u, 9 meets 5. That's everybody. Then simplify those. So negative 35 with 2u's, so u squared, plus 25 with a U. That'll be plus because there's two negatives, 63 with a U. And that'll be minus because there's one negative, 45. Like terms, 88? And that's all. 3 steps. You just got to make sure you're on your business in terms of making sure you organize yourself. Again, that's really all it comes down to. I'm not going to do all those because for the most part, again, that's the general idea for those. So looking at 8.3b, which again would have been the second part, but looking at where we start, this is where we are right now. It says yesterday, but again, 8.3a was the one we just went over. So 6x meets negative 3x, and 6x meets negative 4y, and negative 2y meets negative 3x, and negative 2y meets negative 4y. So again, there we are there. Once you can expand it, everything is good. Now simplify. So negative 18 with 2 x's. Always alphabetize your x's whenever you've got more than one. So minus 24xy. This will be plus 6, again, xy, because you want to alphabetize them. And then plus 8y squared. From there we have like terms with the xy's. So negative 18x squared comes down. Negative 24 plus 6 is negative 18. Again, xy stays xy. And then plus 8y squared is again where we just stopped. And again, for those of you who learn the FOIL method and you say, well, that's just FOIL, it's great. But again, I don't like to teach things that you can't use extensively. I don't like to teach things that aren't applicable outside of a certain range. And FOIL just meant first, so do the first ones, then do the outer, then do the inner, then do the last. And that works as a mnemonic device to help you do that. But FOIL doesn't work here because you'd have first, outer, inner, last, and you're skipping 7C the whole time. And so even though FOIL is good for a 2x2 and good to get you started and get you some confidence, I'm not here to get you confidence. I'm here to teach you how to do it the right way. So again, just keep the pattern that we've had. 8C should meet all 3 people. So 8C meets C squared, and 8C meets 7C, and 8C meets negative 9. Again, 8C is going to meet everybody, then negative 1 is going to meet everybody. Again, feel free to replay it if you need to see the meetings again after you write it down. But that's pretty much everything. Once you can get your meetings down, 8C met C squared, met 7C, met 9. Then negative 1 met C squared, 7C, and negative 9. Once you get that, you just got to simplify it. So 8C to the third. This is plus 56 with 2 C's, so C squared. This is minus because there's only one negative, 72C. This is minus because there's one negative, it'll just be C squared. This is minus because of that one negative, 7C. And this is plus because there's 2 negatives, 9. So show the meetings first, simplify the meetings second, like terms third. There's only one 8C to the third, so it's comes on down. C squared here, C squared there. So what? Plus 55, C squared, C, negative 72 minus 7 is negative 79 because they both work together. And then the plus 9 just comes down. So again, FOIL method, great for, when you were in middle school or whatever. Teachers did not want to have you struggle, but what I learned is that if I try to save you from struggle now, you'll struggle even more later. So just deal with the process. Again, I know it was more fun with FOIL, but I mean, it was only more fun because you knew what you were doing. Well, you know what you're doing. You just have to practice it. FOIL didn't make it easier. It just gave you something to think about. And feel free to use FOIL if it's a 2x2, but just make sure you practice this process as well. Again, whenever it's 2x3, you need to make sure that everything meets. So 2b meets b squared, and 2b meets negative 9b, and 2b meets 2. The key thing is make sure you don't miss the sign somewhere on those. And negative 2 meets b squared. And negative 2 meets negative 9b. And negative 2 meets 2. There should be 6 handshakes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because 2 people are meeting 3, and that's 2 times 3, which is 6. And again, all you have to do there is simplify. 2b to the third, that'll be minus 18 with 2b, so b squared. This will be plus 4 with 1b. This would be minus 2 with 2b's. Again, the b squared's already there. This is plus 18 with 1b. And this is minus 4. And once again, after all that's done, bring down your terms. There's only 1b to the third there. Negative 18 minus 2 is negative 20b to the second. 4 and 18 make 22b. And then minus 4. Very straightforward. Again, it's just going to come down to whether or not you practice it or whether or not you did everything you needed to do up to this point to get it done. Patience is also going to be key. But again, nothing really changes. It's just make sure that this number meets everybody. So 9y meets y squared. And 9y meets negative 3y. And 9y meets negative 9. Then negative 5 meets everybody. So negative 5 meets y squared. And negative 5 meets negative 3y. And negative 5 meets negative 9. Just be careful with your symbols. That's very, very important. From there, again, 9 with 3 y's. Negative 27 with 2 y's. Negative 81 with 1 y. Negative 5 with 2 y's. 15 with 1 y. 45 with no y's. Like terms together, 9y to the third stays the same. That makes negative 32y squared. That makes 81 minus 15. 6 would make that 21. 60 more makes that 81, so 66 y plus 45. So yes, it is going to give you some work, but the good news is it's only 2 sections this week. So if you did start when you're supposed to start, which is at least by Tuesday, you should be okay, because again, this should be being done on Wednesday or Thursday, which gives you plenty of time to practice and prepare for your test. Today's homework only makes you show work on the first 2. Actually, no, it's not. This is actually false. So your test is actually, this is 8-4. No, this is 8-3. Just make sure again that you practice this stuff. So this should be done on Monday or Tuesday, actually, not Wednesday or Thursday, because I forgot where I am. I'm doing this a week early. But this should be done Monday or Tuesday. If so, you have plenty of time to practice that. Tomorrow's lesson, it builds on it, but not in such a way that you have anything major to learn. Really, as long as you can get used to this thing here, then it'll help you with tomorrow's lesson. So the practice you're doing today is actually helping you for tomorrow as well. It's just a slight adjustment, but for the most part, just don't forget that you need to be studying your old material. You do have a test at the end of this week going up, so just be careful and take your time. Let me know when you have any issues. Good luck.